Happy birthday to my penis. Yes, it's that time again. Hey folks, it's Finn. Welcome back folks, lovely to see you. As you can see, today's video is a lower surgery update. This is a celebration vlog marking my 5-year anniversary from having the first stage of my phalloplasty surgery, so when they used the arm graft to create my penis, and it's my 2-year anniversary from completing my lower surgery journey, so 2 years from when I had my erectile device fitted. That's a lot of milestone. So in today's video I wanted to mark both these milestones. I want to mark the 5 years by reflecting back on this whole journey, because I originally didn't want lower surgery and it was a big deal for me to change my mind about that and work through a lot of my fears around surgery. So I want to, in the first part, reflect on that journey and how I feel now having completed my surgery. And in completing my surgery, and that being 2 years ago, I also want to reflect a bit now on the overall outcome of the surgery and how I feel about my penis. Spoiler alert, I love him. But before we get stuck in, if you are new around here, a very big welcome. My name is Finn, and on this channel I make really honest, inspiring content around topics of gender transition, mental health and personal development. So if you like what you see, if you've been hanging around for a while and you haven't yet subscribed, I'd love it if you would do so, and then you won't miss any of my regular Finnstallments. So, as you can see, August is a big month for my penis because he gets 2 birthdays. It's not every penis that gets 2 birthdays, is it? He's like a queen. So I had the first stage of my lower surgery on the 23rd of August 2015, and that was where they took the graft from the arm and created Finn Jr. So when Finn Jr. was born, making him 5 years old this month. And on the 8th of August 2018, I had my final lower surgery stage, which was the erectile device. We had liftoff. So it's been 2 years since I completed lower surgery. So 5 years since Finn Jr.'s birth and 2 years since he was finished. So reflecting on this journey, looking back to 5 years ago before this started, those who followed from the beginning will remember that I didn't want lower surgery. I was always really adamant that I was going to have hormones, I was going to have top surgery, but I wasn't going to have lower surgery. And then, as my transition progressed, gradually the lower dysphoria got worse and I began to realise that I needed to explore lower surgery options. But there was so much negativity about lower surgery. Back in 2015, not many trans people were choosing to have lower surgery. There weren't the forums there are now. There weren't all the people talking very positively about their experience. There was very little information. There were half-finished results, pictures on the internet, and just very negative experiences that were shared. And so I was terrified. I had this view of it being a surgery that was rarely successful and that was awful to go through. And that fear prevented me from really even considering lower surgery. And then there was the case that there wasn't just one lower surgery. There was metoidioplasty, there was phalloplasty, there were lots of different decisions within those surgeries, such as urethral lengthening, hysterectomy, vaginectomy, and it was just this big minefield of unknowns and negativity that was terrifying. And there was also the case that I'd been really adamant about the fact that you do not need a penis to be a man. And so these two things, the kind of I don't need a penis to be a man, I am a man, and the fear of lower surgery just prevented me from even going there until my dysphoria was bad enough to make me start to re-look again at the research. And this is why it's so important to do research. Once I realised that I had to at least start looking more deeply at lower surgery options, I started to dig deeper when I did my research, and I began to find people who weren't necessarily very public about it, but were willing to share with me about their really positive experiences and their really positive results. I started to see penises that looked amazing, and I started to hear stories from men that had penises they were really happy with, and they worked and they could pee, they could have sex. I was recommended a book which I always recommend to anyone called Hung Jury, and I'll pop it in the links below. But that book really does kind of dispel lots of myths around lower surgery and talks a little bit about why lower surgery had such a bad press for such a long time. And it completely changed my mind. And I realised then that, you know, I could have a penis, I could go through a surgery and have a very, very successful outcome. And this is why I now share as openly as I do. When I realised how wrong I'd got it about lower surgery and how many myths and misconceptions were out there, I kind of made it my mission to talk very openly. A little bit because I'd played a part in those myths. I'd heard stories, so I'd told them to other people. So in sharing honestly, I wanted to kind of make up for that mistake I'd made. But also I wanted to give a more balanced approach. And this is why I'm writing this book. My lower surgery memoir comes out next year. I've mentioned this many times. I'll put a link in the bottom to that as well. But I wanted to give a more balanced view because yes, this surgery is huge. It has lots of stages. It's not without its complications. But for most people, this surgery, whether it's metoidioplasty or phalloplasty, results in a penis that people are really happy with, and it really changes their quality of life. So how did I get over this fear of surgery? Well, by being more well informed for a start, that really helps. But also, like with when I started to transition, when the dysphoria got bigger than the fear of surgery, I knew I absolutely had to do this. And I also did this really incredible exercise in drama therapy where I spoke to two versions of my future self. I spoke to a future self who had had lower surgery and a future self that hadn't. And in that exercise, I realised that I had to at least try. If I had some worst case outcomes from surgery, I could cope with that. I wouldn't have been able to cope with getting older and regretting not trying. So that's how I got over the fear. I just knew I really needed a penis to feel complete. For me, that was my journey, what I needed, and that I was willing to just try. I'm so glad I made that decision. So, once I decided that lower surgery was definitely what I wanted, in 2014 I was referred to the London team in the UK, and our London team consists of a group of surgeons who all work together to do all the different lower surgery options. So my surgery started in 2015 and ended in 2018, so it was 3 years overall from start to finish, and I've had 6 separate stages of surgery throughout those 3 years. Now, it would normally be 3 stages, but those who follow my journey will remember that I had lots of complications on the way. It's been a bit of a tough journey. The biggest complications I had were with my urethral hookup, so I had 3 extra surgeries to fix that. It was, of course, really tough to deal with all of those complications and to have my final stages put off. But I prepared beforehand, and this is why I always share this with everyone else. When I was chatting to people, when I was working out if I wanted this surgery, everyone said to me, look, you know, this is a big surgery, it's very intricate operation, all the different things they have to do, so you're best to expect complications and prepare for them. And those people reminded me to keep in mind that complications are fixed eventually, and you're left with a really great result then. And when you have that great result, all of the complications kind of just melt into insignificance. And they were so right. And I kept that in mind all the way through those awful complications, that they would be resolved in the end, and they were. Those that followed this will also remember that I had some poor care on the route as well. And unfortunately, this is part and parcel of being transgender. Unfortunately, trans healthcare attitude to trans people from professionals can sometimes be less than perfect, to say the least. It is improving. A lot of my issues happened back in 2015, and actually we've come a long way in a short space of time in healthcare for trans people and understanding of trans people's lives and better treatment for trans people. I do still see that there's some way to go, but it is improving. However, on the whole, I've had amazing care from some incredible nurses and doctors, especially when it came to the aftercare. And I'm very lucky that I've got a GP that wants to learn and is willing to work with me and to admit when she needs some help to work stuff out. So, you know, the team of nurses and doctors I had around when all of the recovery happened at home for dressing changes and so forth, incredible care. So yes, I'm going to be honest and say there's been some negative experiences and some pretty horrendous ones, but on the whole, the care has been incredible and amazing, and I'm so grateful. Which brings us to the outcome. So at 5 years from stage 1 and 2 years from the final stage, everything now is as settled as it's going to be. Of course, scars will continue to go lighter over time, but in terms of how everything looks, feels and works, we've arrived. The 2 years since completing my surgery has given me really valuable time to really bond with Finn Jr. and get to know my new genitals. Because one of the weird and strangest things about going through phalloplasty is how your genitals keep changing. Like every 6 months or so. It's really, really difficult to get used to because some stages things are half finished. So you wake up from surgery and it's obviously not complete. So it's learning to kind of love those in-between stages and not see them as half finished. But also it's really hard trying to bond with what you've got, knowing that in the next surgery it's going to change again. So you're in this constant cycle of your genitals changing and you're not knowing the full outcome and how it's going to be. So you keep learning how things work and then you've got to relearn again. It's a really strange period of limbo with a penis. So now, of course, I've had 2 years where Finn Jr. is just finished. No one else is messing with him. So I've got time to kind of bond with him and really evaluate how I feel about my penis now that the whole journey is finished. And as I keep saying, spoiler alert, I love him. I am really, really happy with what I've achieved. My main things I wanted were to be able to stand to pee, to have a penis that looked good, that looked aesthetically pleasing, and also to be able to keep sensation and the ability to orgasm and feel pleasure. Very happy to say that all of these things have been achieved. To be able to stand to pee is still incredible. I still get moments where I'm at a urinal, holding my penis, having a pee, and I suddenly feel myself grinning at just how wonderful that is to be doing that. You really don't want to be randomly grinning to yourself at a urinal. It's made such a difference to my life because there was so much anxiety around. I'm anxious anyway, but then you add the anxiety of toilets. You know, I used a stand to pee device before and that was never 100% trustworthy. I was always afraid that somebody would notice that it was silicone and not a penis. So there was always anxiety about going out, using toilets, staying at people's houses, all of that. And that's gone. You know, I can just be me. I can need the toilet, wander into a toilet and pee. And that pleasure, when you've never had an anxiety-free peeing experience, is just amazing. You know, people take this kind of stuff for granted, but for us trans people who are peeing for the first time in ways that we want to be, standing up, for me, just incredibly freeing and liberating in ways that are far bigger than just having a penis. It literally changes how I interact with the world because I can be so much more comfortable in my body. Now, the one thing I haven't achieved is I still want to write my name in the snow, but we don't really get snow here in the UK, so I've had to park that one for a while. I have, however, peed outside now, and I've also learned that you have to check the wind direction before you pee. I'm also really happy to report that I haven't lost any sensation at all, and that sensation continues really to come back. And now I've spoken about this a few times where actually sensation isn't coming back, is it? Because my penis is new. So all of the nerves that have been transplanted there that are growing, it's all fresh, brand new sensation. So all of these nerves are continuing to awaken and give me more sensation. And I've spoken about this many times in lots of other videos and blogs, so I won't go into a huge detail about that here, other than to say I'm happier than I thought possible when it comes to the ability to feel and to get pleasure from my penis. Now, it has taken a while to get used to the erectile device. It's been 2 years now, and I don't think I'm alone, because I've spoken to other trans guys who have the erectile device, and then for the first few months they panic that it's not working properly, that they can't get hard enough, that it's just bending and all of that. But I've realised that it just takes a while to get used to how it works. After all, it is different than a cisgender erection because, you know, we are pump action and it's a cylinder, and we don't get a manual with how to work it. And unlike cis guys who've had their penis all their lives and they get used to it and there's lots of practice, I woke up with mine 2 years ago. So it's gonna take time, and it has taken me a couple of years to work out how it works, both solo and with a friend, and I'm very happy to report now that it works very well, now that I know how to drive it. And of course, I was really concerned that my penis would look great, and he does look great. He looks like a penis should. And I really couldn't be any happier with that either. Aesthetically, I'm happy. He's clearly a penis. What more can I say? Now, I just want to pick up on something here, because I want to say that I do not have a perfect penis. I think people see me raving so happily about lower surgery and just how thrilled I am with my outcome, that I must have this like shiny star of penis perfection. My penis isn't perfect, but he's perfect for me. He has flaws. I've mentioned before how one of my testicles is high, I've got self-harm scars, so those are on my penis. He's got a bend to the left, he gets hairy. But actually, all of these flaws actually make him more perfect, because every one of us have some degree of worry about our bodies, and let's face it, lots of men worry about bends, how it looks, whether it's long enough, fat enough, all of these things. So actually my imperfections actually make me just like any other man. He's perfectly, imperfectly perfect. I say this so many times, but I believe that a great outcome starts with learning to manage your expectations. Now, that's not to say you shouldn't strive for whatever you visualise your penis should be. Of course you should, but it should be done in balance, because otherwise we are just setting ourselves up for a lifetime of misery if we are constantly driving ourselves bonkers with this idea that there's some perfect level of perfection with a penis, and if we're constantly trying to find this idea of perfect, we could drive ourselves bonkers. So managing expectations, I think, is really, really key in looking after our mental health through surgery and in coming to terms with whatever the outcome is. As it stands, my penis really does far outweigh my expectations in terms of the things I wanted the most. So I am one very, 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 very happy 5-year-old penis owner. I will be forever grateful to our incredible team of surgeons who perform this life-changing surgery, especially because they work in such difficult circumstances where trans healthcare is really underfunded, our waiting lists are bulging at the seams now, and it's a huge long wait. So I think the team do an incredible job managing that, and I'm still hopeful, and it's one of the reasons I share, that that will continue to improve as time goes on. I'm also really grateful to everybody else who's looked after me over the years, whether that's doctors and nurses or friends and family. I've had some really, really lovely people look after me after all my surgeries, and I'm really grateful for that. It is this gratitude that helps me to look at my penis as a thing of great beauty and joy, and to feel so blessed that I get to wake up every day in a body that looks and feels like the home that it was always intended to be. I'm so grateful for my penis. I really hope that this was helpful to anybody who might be exploring lower surgery or going through lower surgery, to show how incredible this surgery is and how life-changing it can be. If you did enjoy this video, please let me know by giving it a thumbs up, or you can drop me a message in the comment section below. Do feel free to share this video anywhere you think might help. And if you want to see more videos on the most common phalloplasty questions, I shall link you to a playlist here. Thanks for watching, folks. Take care of yourselves. Keep on keeping on. See you next week.